Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive with yours truly. This time we're tackling something I know a lot of you are super curious about, charisma,
Oh, yeah.
that magnetic quality that some people just seem to ooze. We're going to try to unpack that together today. So
Awesome.
you guys sent in some awesome material for this one. Excerpts from books on charisma psychology, even some communication techniques.
Sounds great.
So let's dive right in.
Okay, so you know what's really fascinating to me about charisma is that it's not like this magical thing you're born with, you know? It's a
Right.
set of skills like anything else. And these sources you've provided really lay out some practical steps for how to, develop this so-called charisma.
Let's unpack this then.
Hmm.
So these sources actually touch on three different charisma styles: focus, visionary, and authority.
Hmm.
And Dory, we'll dive deeper into those a bit later. But first, they all emphasize how quickly those first impressions solidify. Like we're talking split seconds here.
Yeah, it's all about those nonverbal cues, right? And
Yeah.
from like an evolutionary standpoint, it makes sense. Humans have always needed to make those snap judgments, friend or foe, trustworthy or suspicious.
Well,
So we rely on those split-second instincts and that initial read of someone's body language.
It's like we're hardwired to be like super speed judges of character.
Yeah.
One of the books actually shares this crazy story about rising stars at an accounting firm. These managers were super talented, hardworking, but nobody liked them.
Oh, wow.
I know, right?
It's a great example of how association plays a huge role in our perceptions, right? It wasn't that these rising stars were like arrogant or anything. Their job was to basically troubleshoot problems in local offices. So whenever they showed up, it meant something had gone wrong.
Oh, so they were associated with bad news.
Exactly. Even though they were there to help.
So it's not just about my actions, it's also about who and what I'm associated with.
Absolutely. It's like this whole idea of tribal wear that one of the sources talks about.
Tribalware.
Yeah, we instinctively trust and like people who seem similar to us. It's why adapting your dress to different environments is so important.
Oh, tell me about it. I once showed up at Oracle in my best New York suit, thinking I was going to make a killer impression.
Oh, no.
Talk about a mismatch. I stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a good lesson in reading the room.
Right, like doing your research, understanding the context.
Yeah.
You know what else the sources highlight? The power of a good handshake.
Oh man, the handshake, I've definitely fumbled a few of those.
It's more important than you might think. One study even found that a good handshake could be more influential than personality in a job interview.
Wow.
Yeah, and the sources talk about these common handshake mistakes like the dead fish, that limp, lifeless grip.
Ugh, I know exactly what you mean.
And then there's the opposite, the knuckle cruncher.
Oh yeah.
The overly aggressive grip that makes you want to yelp in pain.
Okay, so what we're aiming for is that sweet spot. Firm, confident, but not bone crushing.
Exactly.
Okay, so handshakes are important, but what about our overall body language?
Right, that brings us to nonverbal communication.
Hmm.
These sources really emphasize that it speaks directly to the emotional mind.
Even more so than our words sometimes.
So even if I'm saying all the right things, if my body is screaming nervous wreck, people are going to pick up on that.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
it's amplified in those high-stakes situations,
Yeah.
because our fight or flight response kicks in. That's where this idea of emotional contagion comes into play.
Emotional contagion. Okay, that sounds intense.
It's actually pretty simple.
Yeah.
The idea is that leaders' body language can influence the emotions of their team through mirror neurons.
Mirror neurons. Interesting.
The sources show this fascinating story about a guy named Darius who used this to his advantage. He was meeting with a high-level executive trying to secure a partnership for his organization.
Okay, I'm hooked.
So he notices this executive, George, has a very distinct way of sitting and speaking. And Darius, being the savvy guy he is, starts subtly mirroring those behaviors.
Wait a minute. So he's like copying the guy's mannerisms?
Exactly. And what's incredible is that by mirroring George's body language, he built rapport and actually influenced the executive's opinion, ultimately led to a successful partnership. Whoa. So mirroring can actually be like a persuasion tool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm definitely going to try that.
There are some caveats, though. The sources caution against mirroring someone who is angry or defensive.
Right.
In those cases, it could actually backfire.
Good point. So mirror for warmth and connection, but maybe steer clear when things get heated.
Right.
Got it.
Oh.
So we've talked about making a good first impression, tribal wear, the power of mirroring. What other nonverbal cues are important for projecting charisma?
Well, creating a sense of warmth and presence is key, and the sources talk about personal space as a big part of that,
Mm.
which, as you can imagine, varies greatly depending on the situation.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's a different vibe being crammed into a subway car versus having a one-on-one business meeting.
Right. And one of the authors actually did this experiment where they forced themselves to stand close to someone on a crowded subway, even when space opened up.
Oh my gosh.
And the discomfort they felt was intense. It just shows how deeply ingrained these boundaries are.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of close talkers either.
The sources also mention seating arrangements, pointing out that you generally want to avoid seating people with their backs to an open space,
Hmm.
especially if others are moving around behind them.
Right.
It can trigger anxiety and make them feel less at ease.
Yeah, you don't want to make somebody feel like they're in the hot seat, literally.
Uh.
So being mindful of personal space is a big one. What about eye contact?
Eye contact is huge. The books highlight how powerful it can be for conveying empathy and even wisdom. But of course, it's all about finding that sweet spot.
Oh, I've definitely had some awkward eye contact experiences.
Yeah.
You know that person whose eyes are darting all over the place?
Yeah.
You feel like they're not really listening at all.
It can be super off-putting. The sources emphasize that relaxed, steady eye contact is key. No staring contests needed.
Right. You want to connect, not creep people out.
Yeah.
So it sounds like warmth is about being present, respecting boundaries, and showing genuine interest. But what about projecting confidence? How do we do that without coming across as arrogant?
That's a great question, and it leads us to another fascinating aspect of charisma: projecting confidence and power. One of the books introduces this really interesting visualization technique called the big gorilla.
The big gorilla. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this.
It's all about using the image of a gorilla confidently claiming its space to tap into your own sense of confidence. The author tells this story about a student named Ella who was given this unusual assignment in her kickboxing class. She had to walk around campus and basically force people to move out of her way.
Would you had to like walk into people? That sounds terrifying.
She was totally freaked out at first, but the exercise helped her understand how taking up space could actually be empowering, and it relates to the gorilla posture, chest puffed out, taking up space.
So it's not about being a bully, but about owning your presence and not shrinking back. I like it.
Exactly. And there's science behind this. Studies have shown that expansive postures actually lead to hormonal shifts, increasing assertiveness and reducing anxiety. It's like your body is telling your mind, hey, we've got this.
That's amazing. I'm going to have to channel my inner gorilla more often.
It's all about feeling comfortable in your own skin and owning your space. And deep breathing plays a huge role here, too.
Ah, yes, the power of breath.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that. It definitely helps me calm down when I'm feeling nervous.
Deep breathing is essential for calming that stress response, which allows you to project more confidence.
Makes sense.
Okay, so we've covered nonverbal cues, warmth, confidence. What about charismatic speaking? What are the secrets to captivating an audience?
Well, one source dives into how our minds make associations with places and people, linking them to either positive or negative experiences. It shares the example of witnessing a car accident at a street corner.
Oh,
So every time you pass that corner, you can't help but think about the accident and all the bad feelings that come with it.
oh, I get it. So how does this apply to speaking?
It means that you want to make people feel good when they're around you to create those positive associations. And one way to do this is by speaking in pictures. Speaking in pictures. So instead of saying, our new product is innovative, I should say something like, our new product is like a Swiss Army knife for your digital life.
Exactly. Pictures are so much more impactful and memorable than abstract concepts. The book highlights Steve Jobs' presentation of the iPod Nano.
Okay.
He pulled it out of his jeans pocket to show how small it was,
Right.
then compared its weight to 8 quarters. Those visual cues stuck with people.
Brilliant. I'm definitely going to have to up my metaphor game.
Speaking in pictures. Check. What else?
Okay.
Another key point is delivering high value. The sources really emphasize that when you're asking for someone's time and attention, you're asking them to invest their resources in you.
It's like any investment, people want to return. They want to feel like it was worth their while.
Exactly. That return can come in the form of entertainment, valuable information, a new perspective, even just good feelings. The key is to be mindful of their investment and make sure you're giving back something worthwhile.
Okay. Speaking in pictures, delivering value. Got it.
Yeah.
Anything else about vocal techniques that can boost charisma?
Absolutely. The sources talk about tuning your voice for both power and warmth.
Okay.
To project power, they recommend speaking slowly, pausing frequently, and dropping your intonation at the end of sentences.
Interesting. I never thought about intonation like that,
Uh-huh.
but it makes sense. Think of a judge delivering a verdict.
Yeah,
That downward inflection definitely says authority.
exactly. And for warmth, it's all about vocal fluctuation, varying your pitch and pace to create a more engaging and expressive delivery.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Nobody wants to listen to a monotone robot.
Now, let's not forget the power of listening.
Ah, yes.
These books really emphasize the importance of active listening, being fully present, paying attention, and not interrupting.
Active listening. Easier said than done sometimes.
It's definitely a skill that takes practice, but it's crucial for building rapport and making people feel heard and understood.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Nonverbal cues, speaking techniques, the power of listening. It's clear that charisma is a multifaceted skill. But what about our internal state? How do we overcome those pesky inner voices and limiting beliefs that can totally sabotage our charisma?
That's a great question, and that's exactly where we're headed next. Get ready to dive into the world of mastering your mental game.
Ooh, I like it.
Stay tuned.
I'm excited for this one.
You know, it's interesting. A lot of us wrestle with these uncomfortable feelings inside. Anxiety, insecurity, self-doubt. And it's like we get stuck in this loop of feeling bad about feeling bad.
Oh, tell me about it. It's that whole I shouldn't be feeling this way thing. Like it's wrong to have these negative emotions.
Exactly. But one of the sources offers a really helpful reframe for dealing with those feelings. It suggests we try to see discomfort as just a normal part of being human.
Hmm.
It's a byproduct of our brain trying to keep us safe.
So it's not some personal failing or sign of weakness,
Mm-hmm.
just how our brains are wired.
Right. That's such a key point, recognizing it's just our wiring. Another helpful tip is to think about other people, especially those you admire who have experienced similar things.
So like, if they can handle it, so can I.
Exactly. Seeing it as a shared human experience can really take the sting out of it. We're all in this together, right?
We are. Okay, so that's destigmatizing the discomfort.
Yeah.
What else can we do to kind of manage that inner critic?
Well, the sources talk about this thing called negativity bias, which is our brain's tendency to zoom in on the negative stuff, even when there's plenty of positive stuff happening too.
Oh, I know that one all too well.
Ah.
It's like when you get 10 rave reviews and one bad one and all you can focus on is that one negative comment.
Exactly. One source shares this great example about a graphic designer named Mary.
Okay, tell me about Mary.
So Mary's client is thrilled with her work, tells her she's brilliant, wants her to present at this big meeting, things are going great for her.
Sounds like Mary's killing it.
She is. But then the client casually mentions that his boss wasn't impressed with Mary when they first met. And even though the client reassures Mary that his boss will come around her mind, gets fixated on that one negative comment.
Ugh, I feel that in my soul. That negativity bias can be so sneaky.
It's tough. But these sources offer some really cool techniques for neutralizing that negativity.
Okay, hit me with your best tips.
One that I love is visualizing your mental chatter as coming from a radio.
A radio.
Yeah, it's playing all those negative thoughts, right?
Yeah.
So you see if you can turn down the volume or maybe even just put the radio aside and let it chatter away without you having to engage with it.
I love that. Acknowledging those thoughts, but not letting them control me.
Exactly. Another powerful technique is to think through the worst case scenario.
Ooh, that sounds a little scary.
It can be, but it can also be surprisingly liberating. Often when we really think it through, the worst case scenario isn't as bad as our anxieties make it out to be, and we realize we can handle it.
So facing my fears head on.
Exactly. And a final tip, remind yourself of past challenges that you've overcome. Think about times you were nervous or uncertain, but you pushed through and things turned out okay.
Like, hey, I got through that. I can get through this too.
You got it. It's all about building that resilience muscle.
Love it. Okay, so we've destigmatized the discomfort and neutralized the negativity. What's the next step in mastering our mental game for charisma?
Now this is where it gets really exciting. Rewriting reality.
Rewriting reality.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds a bit woo-woo to me.
It might sound that way, but the sources present it as a very practical and effective technique for shifting your mental state.
Okay, I'm curious. How does that actually work?
One of the authors shares this personal story about using this technique before a big speech in Bogota.
Ooh, pre-speech jitters. I know those all too well.
Right. So the author was super anxious, couldn't sleep. Their mind was racing with all the things that could go wrong, the whole 9 yards.
Been there. What did they do to get out of that headspace?
Instead of fighting those feelings, they decided to try rewriting reality. They close their eyes and imagine the speech going perfectly. The audience is engaged. They feel that sense of accomplishment at the end. They basically created a mental movie of their desired outcome.
So they visualized their success. I could see that helping with nerves, but did it actually change the outcome?
That's the crazy part. The imagined version actually became reality. The speech went amazingly well, just like they'd visualized it.
Whoa. Talk about the power of the mind. So are you saying that if I just believe something strongly enough, it will come true?
It's not quite as simple as believe it and it will happen, but it does highlight how powerful our brains can be when we feed them a positive vision. They start to accept it as a possibility and act accordingly.
So it's more like imagine it, feel it, and then take action from that place.
Exactly. It's about intentionally choosing the reality we want to experience and letting that drive our actions.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. So if I'm feeling anxious about a big meeting, I can try to rewrite reality to see myself feeling confident and successful.
You got it. And one of the sources even suggests using this technique for dealing with difficult people.
Ooh, that's interesting. How would that work?
Instead of getting caught up in their negativity, you try to rewrite reality to see the situation from a more compassionate perspective.
Like maybe that person is just having a really bad day, or
Yeah.
maybe they're dealing with something I don't know about.
Exactly. It's about giving them the benefit of the doubt and not taking their behavior personally. This helps you stay in a more positive, grounded state.
Okay, I love that. Shifting perspective to see the good even in challenging situations. So we've tackled the discomfort, the negativity, we've rewritten reality. What else can we do to strengthen that inner charisma?
Well, these sources highlight some specific mental states that are really conducive to charisma: gratitude, goodwill, and compassion.
Okay, those all sound great. But how do those warm and fuzzy feelings translate into charisma?
Think about it this way: gratitude helps us connect with feelings of warmth and positive energy, which we naturally radiate outward.
So when I'm feeling grateful, I'm more likely to project that warmth to others.
Exactly. And the sources suggest that regular gratitude practices can have a major impact on our overall mental state, creating a kind of upward spiral of positivity.
Okay, I'm sold on gratitude. What about goodwill and compassion?
Yeah.
How do those play into charisma?
Goodwill is about genuinely focusing on the well-being of others. It creates that sense of connection and warmth that makes people feel seen and valued.
Like when you're talking to someone who genuinely cares about you and wants the best for you.
Exactly. The sources actually talk about Bill Clinton as a master of this. People often say he makes you feel like you're the only person in the world when you're talking to him.
Wow, that's charismatic.
It is. And one of the books suggests this visualization for cultivating goodwill. Imagine everyone you interact with, including yourself, has angel wings.
Angel wings. Okay, that's kind of cute.
Oh.
But I could see how it would help shift your perspective.
Right. It might sound silly, but it can be surprisingly effective. Seeing people in that more positive light, even for a moment, can soften your emotional reaction and help you project that warmth and good intention.
Okay, I like it. A little mental nudge toward kindness. So we've got gratitude, goodwill. What about self-compassion?
Hmm.
I don't usually think of that as being linked to charisma.
I know it might seem counterintuitive, but self-compassion is actually essential for emanating warmth and even confidence.
Really?
Think about it. When we're constantly criticizing ourselves, it shows up in our body language, our tone of voice, our overall demeanor.
We're hunched over avoiding eye contact, basically radiating insecurity.
Exactly. But when we practice self-compassion, we're more likely to stand tall, make eye contact, and project a sense of warmth and acceptance.
So it's not about being arrogant or self-absorbed. It's about being at ease with yourself.
Exactly. And the sources emphasize that self-compassion isn't about letting ourselves off the hook or ignoring our flaws.
So it's not making excuses. It's about being kind to ourselves, even when we mess up.
Right. It's recognizing that we're all human, we all make mistakes, and we all deserve kindness and understanding, especially from ourselves.
I love that. Okay, so how do we actually practice self-compassion?
One source outlines a really helpful three-step process.
Okay, I'm all ears.
First, you simply acknowledge that you're experiencing difficulties.
So recognize the struggle.
Exactly. Second, respond to yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a good friend who is struggling.
Treat myself with the same compassion I would offer to someone I care about.
Yes. And third, remember that whatever you're going through, it's a shared human experience. You're not alone in this.
We're all in this together. I love that reminder. Okay, so gratitude, goodwill, self-compassion, these are all great mental states to cultivate. But how do we access them on demand, especially when we're feeling stressed or nervous?
That's a great question, and that's where the really practical tips come in. The sources offer some really quick and easy exercises for shifting your internal state.
Okay, I'm ready for those practical tools.
One of the simplest techniques is to use your body to change your mind. Have you heard of power posing?
Oh yeah, like striking a confident pose to boost your mood.
Exactly. These sources suggest experimenting with different postures to see how they impact your feelings.
So like if I stand up straight with my chest out, I'm going to instantly feel more confident.
You might. It's about finding what works for you. They also recommend stretching and expanding your body to increase energy.
Like reaching for the sky, taking some deep breaths.
Yes, it can help to release tension and get your energy flowing in a more positive direction.
I'm feeling more energized already. Any other quick tips?
They talk a lot about the importance of curating your mental input, especially before important events.
What does that mean exactly?
It means being mindful of what you're allowing into your mental space. The news, you're watching the music, you're listening to the conversations you're having.
So, like, if I'm about to give a big presentation, I should probably avoid doom scrolling on social media.
Probably a good idea. Instead, maybe listen to upbeat music, watch an inspiring video, anything that feeds your mind with positivity and helps build that confident energy.
Makes sense. Feed your mind with good stuff.
Right. And one last tip, they call it warming up for charisma.
Warming up for charisma, I like it.
It's about intentionally scheduling interactions that boost your positive emotions before an important event.
So, like, having a coffee date with a good friend who always makes me laugh, or
Mm.
watching a stand-up comedy special to get those feel-good vibes going.
Exactly. It's about intentionally priming your state to be more charismatic when it matters most.
I love it. So we've covered a lot of ground in terms of mastering our mental game. We've talked about reframing discomfort, neutralizing negativity, rewriting reality, and cultivating those positive internal states. But we still haven't delved into those different charisma styles that we mentioned at the beginning.
You're right. We've laid the groundwork, and now it's time to explore the different flavors of charisma, focus, visionary, and authority.
Okay, I'm ready to discover which charisma style is my superpower. Okay, so we talk about all this inner work we can do, but like now I'm dying to know, what are these different charisma styles all about?
Well, let's start with focus charisma. This style is all about making the other person feel like they're the only person in the room.
I like that.
Hmm.
So how do I do that? What should I be doing?
It boils down to being present, listening intently, and making the other person feel completely heard and understood. You're creating that warm, supportive space where they feel comfortable opening up.
So it's not about me being charismatic. It's about helping them feel seen.
Exactly. It's about asking thoughtful questions, tuning into their responses, and showing them that you actually care about what they have to say.
I can already see how powerful that would be, especially in like one-on-one conversations.
Right.
Okay, focus charisma, check. What about visionary charisma? That one sounds pretty epic.
Visionary charisma is all about inspiring and motivating people with a compelling vision of the future. Think like Martin Luther King Jr. or Steve Jobs.
Wow, okay.
They had this incredible ability to paint a picture of a better world and get people excited to work towards it.
Those are some pretty big shoes to fill. So how can I tap into that kind of charisma?
It's about connecting with people on an emotional level. You're appealing to their hopes and dreams, making them feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves.
So it's not just about having the idea, it's how you communicate it.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Think powerful imagery, compelling storytelling, stirring those emotions. When you can create that shared sense of purpose, that's when things really take off.
This feels like a must-have for leaders, entrepreneurs, or anyone trying to get people on board with a vision. Okay, visionary charisma, got it. So last but not least, we've got authority charisma. When would I want to use that style?
Authority charisma is all about confidently projecting competence and control. Think Margaret Thatcher or Bill Gates. They commanded respect through their knowledge, expertise, and ability to make tough decisions.
So you're the one in the room who knows their stuff and isn't afraid to take charge.
Exactly. It's about conveying a sense of certainty, clarity, and strength, using both your words and your body language.
I can see this coming in handy when you need to build trust quickly or make a tough call or just step up and lead when a situation calls for it.
Absolutely. Authority charisma is all about projecting that I've got this energy and giving others the confidence to follow your lead.
Wow, these three charisma styles are so different, yet each one is like incredibly powerful. It's amazing to think that we can learn to develop these styles and adapt them to different situations.
That's what makes charisma so fascinating. It's not about fitting into a single mold. It's about discovering your unique strengths and expressing them in a way that connects with and inspires the people around you.
This deep dive has been incredible. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of charisma and how I can use it.
That's fantastic. And remember, charisma isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about tapping into your authentic self and letting that shine through in a way that resonates with others.
Such a great reminder. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you hope our listener will take away from all of this?
Charisma isn't some magical gift. It's a skill that we can all learn and develop with practice and intention.
I love that.
Yeah.
So to our listener out there, embrace your own unique charisma, cultivate it, and use it to make a real difference in the world.
And remember, you have the power to choose your mindset, rewrite your reality, and radiate charisma in every interaction you have.
This has been an awesome journey. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into charisma.
It's been my pleasure. Until next time, keep shining. You'll